Tom, you even you sent out a tweet, you sent a message to coworkers and loved ones. You said, I'm about to do a deep dive on Iowa's offense. Thoughts and prayers. If you haven't heard from me in 3 hours, please reach out. You have come back with a deep study. What did you learn about this offense that has 14 receptions from wide receivers so far this year?
If I'm an Iowa fan, I'm excited. Everything is heading in the right direction. A couple of years from now, we're going to be an average offense. Like, if you look at the basic numbers, first of all, last year, Iowa's offense scored 14.15 points per game. That does not include the defense. 14.15 points per game. This year's offense is scoring 19 points per game. That's 5 more points than before. But that is a result. I wanted to look closer at the process, and I went into a bunch of little different defensive or offensive categories. I looked at success rate, passing success rate, rushing success rate, EPA per play, pass EPA, rush EPA, explosive play rate, points per possession, yards per play, turnover rate. I was better in 8 of those 10 stats. The only 2 that it has gotten worse in are the turnover rate. They're turning the ball over more often than not. And where did it go? I can't remember the other one. They're worse than I think. No, it was passing success rate, which I'm surprised considering Shocking. 14. But it's what was interesting to me. Again, the bottom line is the offense is improving. It is still terrible. Like, if you look at the percentile marks for all of these stats, none of them are higher than 37th percentile. So it is still a well below average offense at the FBS level. But what surprised me more than anything was, you'd think like the offseason was all spent talking about, all right, we're going to change things up. We're bringing in Cade McNamara. We're bringing in Eric All. We're bringing in the new wide receivers. We're going to be able to have a modern passing offense. And the passing offense is worse. But what's gotten a lot better is running the ball. They have been able to do it. They were in the 3.8th percentile last year in rushing success rate. They're up to 31.1 this year. EPA per rush, they were 4.6 last year. They're up to 37th percentile this year. Like, to me, that is a good sign in that if you're going to play the way Iowa is playing, you need to be able to run the ball. And I think that part of the problems they've had the last couple of years is that they couldn't run the ball, and it completely derailed what they try to do, which is, control the clock, control the field position, don't screw up, play good defense. Problem is they're not doing enough of the rest. And like I wrote in the column, there's 2 ways you can look at this. One is that the season, they haven't gone through their Big Ten schedule yet. So odds are the numbers are going to get worse because the schedule's about to get a bit tougher. But you can also look at it and say, hey, well, we are improving in some things. So bottom line, Iowa's offense is getting better this year. Iowa's offense still sucks.
I looked into this because I was seeing some of the same numbers that Tom was. And Tom's numbers are 100% correct.
I hope so.
The reason I think that this offense is actually materially worse than last year, like my eyes weren't matching up with what the numbers told me, is that they have played 2 of the worst defenses in the G5, who also happen to be tempo teams, right? So like Iowa's getting a lot more at bats in those games than they would in a normal type situation. Also, like if you look at the quotes out of yesterday's press conferences, Cade McNamara was asked about like throwing the ball to receivers because, again, Army's receivers have about double the catches that Iowa's do this year. And he's like, yeah, that's not really like my thing. Like, I'm not the offensive coordinator. I don't call the plays. McNamara has big time, like got the NIL bag, cool, got paid, whatever energy right now. If you like watch his press conference, and that's a stark departure from in the preseason. He was like, please keep calling us the worst offense in the country. Like, he had a lot of bravado to him. Now he's just like resigned to, oh my God, we suck. And then Kirk Ferentz was asked like about getting the receivers more involved. He's like, yeah, that could be a good idea. Like I'm like, dude, the only way they could be less involved is if they were suspended. So they really, I worry that I was going to quit on offense. I really do. Like their body language was terrible against Penn State. I don't think that they trust in this coaching staff at all. I'm pretty worried about them. I think Michigan State's going to beat them this weekend in Kinnick. Michigan State can stop the run. Like they look broken.
That would be bad. If they
Who wants it more? This is the game.
I mean, look, everybody who could have quit Michigan State already had the opportunity to do so. We are seeing this a lot. Guys are like, I played my 4 games, I'm going to redshirt. Coaching staff wasn't truthful with me as far as how much playing time I was going to get, blah, blah, blah. If you're still on Michigan State at this point, got to assume you want to play.
The stories being written from the Iowa beat this week are focused on the wide receivers, their lack of catches, how that hurts recruiting wide receivers, and how the Big Ten, in adding, Washington, Oregon, USC, and UCLA, how are you going to be able to score enough points to keep up? Will classic Iowa football be able to, have you even as an 8-win program in the new Big Ten? Because the new Big Ten is only going to be leaning more into offenses that are going to put up points and throw the ball around. So the reason why things are really coming out and the quotes are coming out, it sounds like that is the theme right now for those that are in all of those press conferences and around that program every single day, whenever Brian allows them to. That's an interesting crossroads here in terms of how they want to handle business, how they want to call games.
It's bad. Their receiver recruiting has really kind of cratered over the last couple of years, and I think it's just because they don't use them. Right. The real nail in the coffin was Jones last year, transferring from Iowa, where he really wasn't used at all. And then he had 144 targets at Purdue. I mean, it's not like there wasn't any talent, but now they recruit at like an upper MAC level at receiver. They basically go and take like the best kid who was going to go to like Toledo or Ohio. Like they're not winning not many recruiting battles at receiver for guys that other good passing offenses really want. There's a reason for that, because kids have televisions and YouTube and they can, and Google, and they can see like the Iowa's offense doesn't care about its receivers.
I have seen an uptick in Iowa fans kind of wish casting that, as you mentioned, Chip, UCLA, USC, Washington, and Oregon are coming. Some Iowa fans are looking at what is going on this year and convincing themselves that what's happening is Kirk Ferentz is going to retire at the end of the season because NIL, all this stuff, the changing Big Ten, he does not want to be a part of it, and they're just kind of coasting. I have nothing to support this theory, but that's what I hear.
But that is the vibe of an Iowa fan who is trying to wish cast a way out of this situation.
Correct. It's the vibes are terrible in Iowa City right now.
You know what's great, and it keeps getting better? The Brian Ferentz deep fakes. Did you guys see this latest one from Penn State?
No way.
Oh, it's like a
have you seen
thing.
it?
It's because he's like, first of all, he blames the defense because they had opportunities. They had 95 plays. Why didn't they score? It's a team game. But then like the closer is, he's like, it's a dangerous place to go to Florida or to go to Penn State. And then he's talking about the showers. Like it gets a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's extreme.
You need to go.
How many people thought it was real this week?
Well, that's the good. They have to put in something so crazy because it is so good that you can delineate the difference. Because if they did a serious one, you
didn't stop him last week. Didn't stop last week when he was telling people to crawl out of his ass. People thought it was a real quote.
His dad got asked about it.
Yeah, because I wrote in the Monday After. I talked because the lead of my column in the Monday After this week was about like coaches convincing their players that they're being disrespected. And I talked to a coach and he had a great point. He said, "Do you remember the Brian Ferentz video that went out last week? How many reporters thought that was real?" He's like, "You can convince anybody anything is real if that's what they want to believe." He's like, "It's nothing." He was going on about how they motivate their players, but it's an excellent point.
Hey, listen, somebody said that Georgia's going 6-6, right?
Yeah. Maybe Kirby was way out in front of the AI.
Georgia's the best. Like maybe their in-house AI, like media productions.
Well, I thought that's what you said last year when we were discussing that in the wake of the national championship, is that Georgia's so advanced that they have fake reporters putting out fake articles to send to their players to motivate them, because that's what you have to do when you're the Georgia Bulldogs.
Does Georgia have a journalism school? Maybe that's what they're doing.
They do. They have a really good journalism school.
So there we go.
All right. One last question to put a button on this. Ryan says Iowa's offense or Oklahoma State's offense?
Oh, Speaking of dudes who are checked out.
Oklahoma State's offense?
Easily.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, Oklahoma State's got like 7 quarterbacks. They use them all.
Iowa had 33 plays. I mean, the only...
Yeah, but I don't think Oklahoma State's offense would do a whole lot against Penn State's defense either.
All right, like the only offense on the weekend that looked worse before the starters were pulled was Colorado, and they had 39 yards, right? Like Oklahoma State's offense is better than Iowa's offense. there's some argument to be had when Iowa's best tight end was still healthy. I think once he's gone, it's like zero argument to be had.
UMass offense, but with Fomachan, or Iowa's offense?
I would still prefer Iowa's offensive line to what UMass has up front.
That's true. I'll take that.
Now, if you want to put Fomachan on Iowa,
Fomachan is better than McNamara for sure.
That's what I'm saying. Now we're cooking a little bit because now we have a QB who can make stuff happen.
All right, so to fix Iowa's offense, we put Tyson Fomachan from UMass at quarterback. We get the running backs healthy, and look, boom, 8-win team.
Yeah,
right there.
Probably. in the Big Ten West with that defense, yeah, that'd probably be enough to get 8 wins right now.
I was really on the Iowa's going to win the West train. Yeah, I thought they could be like slightly improved on offense.
Same.
And the rest of the Big Ten West is not good, or at least not great.
But that's the thing. It's like you're down on Iowa, but it's not like there is another team in the Big Ten West that you're jumping on with any kind of confidence. I mean, this is big, like 6-3, and who has the tiebreakers?
Yeah, but I've downgraded Iowa more than any other Big Ten West team since the start of the year.
If Wisconsin plays like it did at Purdue on Friday night, and that wasn't just mostly a result of Purdue's defense, Wisconsin is going to run away with the division pretty easily. But it remains to be seen.